Hello everybody and welcome to the sketching process demonstration in which I'm going to show you how easy it is to use the Concepts app to very quickly create different design variation ideas for a bedroom cabinet. In this demonstration, I will talk a little bit about how to source dimensions, also inspirational images, and then how to set up this whole document. So when we create all these different designs and then we are copy and paste, can easily adjust, move them around, modify, and perfect those design ideas. And with all that said, let's do it. But before we get started, please hit the like, subscribe, and notification button so you will never miss any upcoming video. And now let's really get started. So before we get started going into all these details, I would like to talk a little bit more about this design you see here. By the way, the starting file for this assignment is in the download link in the description of this video. So we want to design a bedroom cabinet, a dresser, something. Well, the first thing we need are dimensions. One of the easiest ways to do this is wherever you see a piece of furniture, just take measurements. Since I'm working digital and also have an iPad, taking photos is pretty easy. Then I can bring them into the Concepts app, take a measurement tool, or even use Scaniverse on an iPad, make a scan, take measurements from the different corners, for example, the width, the depth, the height, and also the space between the floor and the first drawer at the bottom. And then I put everything into an image layer, as you can see here, and on a different layer annotations, then I can write down all the different measurements. As I mentioned also in the intro, on here, this image layer, I then put down some interesting photos. I was at the at-home store, so I took a few images of some of the designs I saw, which I found interesting. For example, here the front door has this treatment of asymmetrical woven cut wooden pieces. I found that quite interesting, very detailed. A nice contrast to that is this one where it's just a box and rectangles and holes, but actually inside a box grid, or also classical veneer inlay work. It's also quite interesting. This design I saw and I found this quite interesting as an idea giver of thinking, well, we can also CNC remove material from the front doors. For example, now you see this woven pattern and also the feet. Both pieces do have actually a very interesting leg design. In the left image, it's more part of the cabinet. On the right side, you see here, that is an extra manufactured piece that was put in. That's kind of like nicely fluted, has soft curved shapes. So it looks quite interesting. So, and then basically you have your left and your right area for dimensions and inspirations. And then here is the main part. And let me show you how I structured everything first. So we talked about the layer with the images. And then if I turn everything off here, you see how I built everything up. So I have one layer called frame. And on that layer, I simply put down everything about the frames. Seen from the front, seen from the side, nicely lined up. The cool thing about Concepts is if you're in the selection tool, now you made yourself one copy, you can duplicate it, move it to the side, or make a complete section, make a copy, and then you have, yeah, kind of like, how should I say that? You have a grid or a template you can then start sketching over. So talking about sketching over, you see this only is the frame. And then I have another layer. This is where I have all the details. The main reason why I'm separating everything is when you are in the selection tool. You see at the bottom it says lasso, partial on, ignore, and all. If I turn all to active, now I can select all the pieces which are only on the active layer. So now I go to details, and there, I just only selected detailed parts. So I'm not by accident modifying the frame, for example. So if I want to draw something like this, I could go to the pen tool and then think, okay, here's a circle, there's a circle, another circle, bigger circle. You see I'm drawing really big, and then I use the slice tool and just remove everything what is outside. So I don't try to draw into the frame, I just make nice big motions. So everything I draw is nice and smooth. And you see then this way it's very useful and effective to very quickly do these different design ideas. Same, for example, here with these patterns. So I started drawing some lines, for example, like this. I'm really fast. I'm going to move those away for a moment, select those, bring this in, maybe scale this a little bit. There we are. Make a copy there, scale everything or select everything and scale this even more. And then with the slice tool, again, cleaning up. The idea about concepts is really to use this as a quick sketching tool, kind of like pen paper, but with the advantage we can always adjust every individual line, move it around, change the size, delete them, rotate them, scale them. And it's always perfect resolution, which is why I think this is a superior tool for quick ideation sketching than, for example, Procreate or Sketchbook Pro. And then if we want to adjust everything, we just select all layers. With my finger, I select all that, and here, that piece was a little bit to the right side. Sketches are quite nice, they're always good to use. Let me go to here. Also, you see I have a little bit more of detail. So this is the setting for all the outline sketches, a 0.07 inch for this document, a little bit of smoothing. And then for interior lines, so hidden lines, I'm using the dotted tool. And then with that, whatever you draw looks different. We could also use a very thin line and straighten it. But the thing is, not like with the dotted line, it has a really nice contrast. You will really then see, hey, there's something different. This means something different. These are hidden lines, no? So with this, I started to indicate where in the top design, for example, are the doors or basically the front door that moves forward. In this case, we have a complete vertical board that hides the door or the front face, seen from the side. And then here, now this whole thing would move to the side. But sketches are sometimes difficult to read, and that is why you need to add annotations. And a nice color contrast, also very often used in architecture and interior design, is a different color. Red is very good. It's a signal color. You start looking at it. And I also have here a grid. And this grid, if I go to the cog, I use a dot grid. It's kind of like the setting I have there right now, which is, by the way, also all based on the measurement system, etc. And then that way, how could I say that? You kind of like have horizontal, vertical lines you could use, and all my my writing will fit into such a space. 0.5, I guess I changed here my volume there. Very good. Oh, this looks the same. Very good. Perfect. Sweet. The nice thing about adding these annotations is you can do this very quickly. You want to use a little bit of order. You see this, the handwriting is slightly trying to follow the baseline or the dotted grids. Here, actually, I see they're all a little bit too high. So I will go to active only, select all those and bring them down a little bit once I'm on the right layer. There. So this is similar to what I have at the bottom. And then with these other circles, I indicate what the text relates to. Or here, this is a symmetrical cut idea, asymmetrical cut idea. Yeah, what are actually these lines, no? This is just different materials. Do the pieces come forward and backward? And here you see, now I did start basically creating a little bit of a design or a pattern, how this could look like. Here now I'm showing that these are arcs, or kind of like also here there are arcs. Here's maybe the idea. One area is forward, one area is backwards. Is this a linear transition? Is this a curved transition? So maybe it might make sense here to write this in linear and curved. You might actually know right now when you sketch it what it means. Maybe you later come back, then you don't know it. Or if you give this to somebody, they might not understand it anyway. Yeah, so also here I could say this is raised, or maybe this is cut in, and then I can just specify this raised, cut in, or groove. Okay, very good. But I think you start understanding how useful this type of sketching is to very quickly create then yeah, kind of like an ideation of different designs, which are very easy to read and understand by yourself, and also when you give this to somebody. And these type of sketches, when there is enough on a page, doesn't matter then the drawing quality, this will look really quite interesting. People would like to see what's happening. And what's really important, I want to stress this here one more time, is also the order. Everything is neatly arranged in groups of, yeah, blocks of information. Okay, with all that said, let me show you now how we can kind of like set everything up. In this starting document, again, download link is in the description of this video. We have already the different layers. The pen tools all should be there. Besides this one was too big. I think that should be 005. Very good. The document we have is an 11 by 8.5 horizontal. I have this one set up to 1 inch is 1 foot, by the way, so we can work with a scale. And then based on how you want to set up the display, you can do this too. But we don't want to be like super precise. We want to use this really more as a quick sketching workflow. Very good. So I have some dimensions here. No? We could use Concepts as a drafting tool, kind of like as AutoCAD, and work very cleanly, but this will take time, specifically when you meet with a client. You want to be nice and quick, have a discussion, and draw just enough so the stuff looks good and the client understands what you are envisioning. And then later, when you go home and start taking this into a CAD program, you also understand from the sketch what the idea was. So we have these different layers. I will go to frame. Then I will switch to this pen at 0.07, maybe a little bit less smoothing. The image layer, I will make a little bit less solid. So when I start drawing over it, I can actually see my lines there. So now we need to figure out what would be a good size there. Okay, very good. And then I will go to the frame layer. That's important. And then I can start sketching this one down. So I might want to go a little bit higher with the smoothing, because then I can draw straight lines quite easily. And you see, I'm using the image as a guide, but then I'm also using the grid as a helper. There you see that, no? Perfect, cool. The other layers I will all turn off. There's actually now my first piece. So then we can go lasso, select this thing, move this over. Beautiful. It's a little bit big. Rotation is off. If this is an image or a page, again, this is the nice thing of concepts. We can scale them, but by the way, there are two different scales, stretch and scale. Scale really makes a stroke bigger and thicker. We only want to stretch, simply make this drawing smaller while keeping the same line basically I have here. There we are. Good. So this design with the lasso I can select, make myself a drawing. Cool. Yeah, and then actually, okay, let's have fun. We can very quickly try to block out elements. So this is maybe where the mid part is. Very good. These diagonals I can remove. That definitely is not the center. Maybe my lines were a little bit too crooked. For these types of tasks, what also can help is when you use a line that is 100% straight. Oh, look at that. My eye this time was dead on. This piece here I delete. And yeah, so we have two doors. What about when we have three doors? So I will do kind of like 1, 2, 3. These two I copy, move this over, select all four, and then you see with this I can scale this, and look at that, I have a template for where my other two doors vertical lines have to be. Number 1, number 2. Very good. And oh, I already made a little mistake. This one has to go to the details now, because this is a detail part. So let's do the same here. When we work with the lasso, it's easy to select elements. That can go, that can go. Also here, this tiny piece, that one I want to keep. So the other one I delete. Nope. Maybe I know roughly where this should be. Then I can delete this one there. Back up. So you see everything what you learned in drawing, drafting, sketching really applies to here too. It's all the same. Beautiful. Okay, lasso, all layers on. So I select this whole piece and make a copy, bring this one down. What about we have two more, so 4. And then actually we could bring this one down and say, well, when there we have 2, what about then we have vertically 3? No? Interesting. And you see, this is just copy and paste. This is why it is really so easy to create so many different design ideas. So what happens when the right side is just one big door? And this could be interesting, no? Or since we're now working with asymmetry, make a copy. Actually, this one I select and simply move these points down. Oh, this one has to go a tip up. There. That's interesting. You see, like we have one big drawer. And there. Another thing. Well, what actually we just have one door vertical complete on the right side and then three drawers now coming out. The main idea about this type of sketching is not to make pretty drawings. This is really a thinking tool, a quick ideation tool. We want to have lines to be a little bit good. I would say no, in retrospect, they are a little bit too crazy for me. So I could later go ahead and start lining, not lining, correcting everything a little bit. You see here, I'm stretching this or straightening it a little bit, and then tapping on a dot, I can correct this line. Yeah, that looks already better. And I can just bring this back. And because this is all vector based, now you can always go back and clean everything up. Very good. Very nice. Now, so we put some frames down. There are my details. I again made that mistake here. That I did not put those into the correct layer. Very good. So you see that can happen also to me. Most probably is going to happen to you too, but we can just fix this later. Vertically, we managed to put 4 designs down. Maybe is it enough? Maybe not. So let's select everything and then scale this down a little bit more. There, cool. Yeah, okay. And then here you go to there. Maybe this is like one whole unit of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 variations. Nice. Okay. So we start with 6. Let's make a copy, another row. So going to the detail area here. Now this is then where we can think about on the left side, this was all about different doors and drawers. How do we treat actually the fronts? Yeah, okay, good. So now we can just think about different lines. So I'm rotating the page, so it's very easy for me to draw left to right. I'm right-handed. There, I'm cleaning this up a little bit. Maybe one more line. Very good. Select everything. And we can just scale this, make a copy, bring this over, and then use the slice tool and then very carefully slice across the edge. There. Whoop, careful. We do not want to slice on all. Sorry, select on all. So here, only that goes. Only that goes. Yeah, and then here, those go. There, no? Easy peasy. Since I'm on the details layer, select everything. I would like to rotate this upper corner. You see 16.2 inches width, and there's a 0 for rotation. Tap on it, and then there we can type in 45 degrees. There, rotated it. Beautiful. I must have hit undo by accident there. And yeah, then we can scale this a little bit more. We might have to bring this for the moment to somewhere else. I can group it, move this away. Select all this. Let's say there. And then tap, 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 tap. We just clean everything up. Trim it. And then everything we don't want, we delete. The rest we keep. Copy, mirror, bring this over. There it is. Actually, they go upwards. I want this downwards, so I mirror this. And then with these points, I can basically, as you were able to see, squeeze everything in there. And then this one I can bring back. It makes sense to select everything here, also group it. So 1 point, I only select one piece, and then you see I can select everything at once. Okay, very good. Now, so I think at this point you start getting an idea of how to use the different layers. I would like to go one more time also here to the annotations. So let's say we would like to have also a nice title. So I have here this airbrush. You have double tap, then go to marker. With marker, we can make a nice stroke. We can keep this orange. The way how you have to hold the pen when drawing the marker, the pen should be this way, so pointing up, because then you create a brush that goes horizontal. If your pen is 90 degrees rotated, you're pulling a stroke that way. So this is a little bit too big. There. Yeah, maybe like this. You can press down, play with the saturation. There we are. Nice. I would like this to be flipped. There. Actually, can we correct this? Yeah, there. Perfect. This should go to annotation, and then we need to write something. I tap on the marker tool 2 times, go to the text tool. There we are. Tap somewhere. And then with the pencil or finger, I think you have to use a pencil, and then say ideation. Then I hit done. Then I can move this onto there. This is very difficult to read, so let's give this a different color. And I also put this on the wrong layer because I did not have that layer activated. So now you see this is activated. There, scale is on, and we can scale this with 2 fingers, pinching around. There we are. Very good. So the last thing now, since we're in annotation, is at one point you might want to think about also all these details. Again, what are these lines? Is this, for example, this type of a structure? Is this type of structure? Or is this raised? Is this arced? Now, and then we also basically can talk about this, like, let's say this is a cube, triangle, it's not sphere, more circle, and then start annotating how everything could be done. Let me go back to the design I had, because I think at this point now you start to slowly really understand. Now this was really all about the front faces, drawers, treatment of the surfaces, then more details about these surfaces. And the more you start writing and drawing, the more ideas you're getting. So take note of that. Then here I was thinking about how the drawer faces inserted or flush. Yeah, and then also how do I do these feet? No? So you can clearly see that this idea was inspired by kind of like what you see here. Also with this overhang. And then here, the feet basically we have sides and they're on the outside. So you can then think about it. Are these feet, where do we put them? There, do we have 3? No. And then also annotated. Again, I made copies, modified them, added annotations. So it's nice and clear. And that's it.